I mean, understanding that to me is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
When you're educated, you will know better. And when you know better, you do better.
Simple.
Look, this is... Hello and welcome back to the Mentium Podcast. Today we have another episode of Stories of Impact, where we spotlight inspiring individuals who are making a meaningful difference in their communities and beyond. Today's guest is a shining example of purpose-driven leadership and heart-centered service. Juliet Sebold. Born in Liberia and raised in Sierra Leone, Juliet called the United States home for quite some time, but is now back to her native country. With over a decade of experience in education, policy development, and social services, Juliet has dedicated her life to empowering others through knowledge and access. From leading initiatives in Colorado to shaping education policy in Sierra Leone, Juliet brings a rare blend of global perspective and grassroots impact. But what truly sets Juliet apart is her deep belief in human connection. It's this belief that led her to create Auntie JoJo's library, a powerful initiative that inspires a love for reading and provides young girls with the tools to dream big and rise strong. You are in for a moving and thoughtful conversation with a woman who is using her story, her skills, and her voice to light the path for others. Let's get into it. Juliet, it is an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. I know we tried it back in when you were in Sierra Leone and then it didn't work out. So when you came back to the US, I was like, man, we got to do this. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation to appear on the Mentium Podcast. Now, Juliet, I want you to walk us through your journey, because I understand that you were born in Liberia and then you moved to Sierra Leone at a very tender age. And then you moved to the US when you were 12 years old. So talk to me about what that journey looked like in your education here, your schooling, basically your journey to the US and back home to Sierra Leone.
Yes. Hi, Madama.
Hello.
I'm so honored to be on the podcast, Mentium. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me this chance to speak about something that I love about. And congratulations to you and kudos to you. I am forever a fan and so proud. So thank you. But yes, I am Juliet. Hi, everyone, aka Auntie JoJo. You'll get to learn more about it later. But yes, I was born in Liberia. My family, my dad was there studying. My dad is a minister. And so he was going to school to pursue a degree. And then I happened. But there were some things going on in Liberia. The Civil War kind of started there. So they had to go back to Sierra Leone due to the circumstances that were happening. And I was around the age of 2, I believe. So very young, adapted quickly to Sierra Leonean culture. And that's where I was until I was 12. And then when I was 12 years old, my family relocated again to the United States this time. We went all the way from Sierra Leone to Denver, Colorado. And my dad was going to school again. So I was here at age 12. And you mentioned my schooling. So I went to middle school. I finished out middle school, 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And after 8th grade, I went to high school. I went to Cherry Creek High School. Woohoo, go Bruins.
Yeah.
And then after high school, I wanted to go to college to study medicine. So I went to the University of Northern Colorado up in Greeley. And there I started studying biology. But somewhere along the line, I discovered a psychology class. And then my mind was blown. So I switched to psychology major
Wow.
and still had a minor in biology because I had already started taking most of the classes. So, but I was still going the medical route. And so, yeah, and then later on in life, I went and got not later on in life, but I later got my master's in public administration.
Wow.
And that was from Grand Canyon University. So that's with schooling. You had asked about, what was the first question you had asked was talk about my transition.
It is a very, very interesting journey for a young lady like you, because that created a mixture of a lot of things very early in your life.
Yep.
But did you say public administration?
Yeah, master's in public administration.
So then what brought you to the education field? That you secured a job and to go back to Sierra Leone? That's where
Sierra
you are
Leone
right now.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So how I got into education. Innately, I believe I am an educationist. I have always loved education. I have always loved teaching. When I was little, I think my parents said I used to gather up they didn't tell me. I remember I used to gather up all my colleagues and friends and put them in sort of like a classroom setting, and I would teach them. So I'd always have a love for teaching and a love for education. I also really love to learn, Majama. So after I graduated college, I moved to Arizona, and at that moment I decided I didn't want to do medical school anymore. And so I moved to Arizona and wanted to explore, and I started working for the Department of Child Safety, Arizona. And I started working as a social worker because I had a psychology degree. So I was like, okay, cool. And that job opened up my eyes to all of the systems in America. And that's kind of how I got into education, because I worked with kids and I was their legal guardian. So I had to be responsible for not only what was happening in the home and their safety, but their schools. So that includes like IEP meetings and going to like education meetings. So I started learning more about the education system. And what really ignited it was just believing that education was the power to transform, even in that setting. Absolutely. So I believe if kids knew better, if parents, if the court system or if the juvenile system, if people are educated. So went from social work to behavioral health. And then I moved back to Colorado in 2017 and started working for the African Leadership Group. And African Leadership Group, you all are familiar with, is an organization here in Colorado that helps the African immigrants transition and adapt into the American lifestyle. So I started working and volunteer with them and started working with the Youth Empowerment Group. And they have, within ALG, they have an education initiative. And naturally, working with kids, you're working in education because they're in school. Absolutely. So that's when I really, really honed into my education working and became the education coordinator and began going to school board meetings, began helping parents navigate school system, began helping with like open enrollment, began helping school choice, and actually began advocating for some of my students and the families. Yes. So I've always been an educator. And then from doing that, I got a job within like a policy realm. I started working with schools in Aurora, with the district. And then while doing that, I got introduced to the policy space, and an opportunity came up back home in Sierra Leone where I could be a policy analyst with the government, the Ministry of Education. So I applied for it. Just stretch. It was during the time of COVID. There was a lot happening in America. There was a lot happening in the world, but I wanted a change and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to expand myself. So I was like, okay, let's go for it. I was willing to go to Thailand to teach Majama. So when this opportunity came to go back home, I was just really excited. And I took it. And from then on, I think my eyes and my mind just opened up, and stuff that I wanted to do, like I had dreams about doing, start coming to life when I was in Sierra Leone. So I think everything just started aligning and started working.
Before you dive deep into the work that you do over there with the dreams, we'll talk about that. Can you walk me through the decision? Like, because to me, it was really bold. You've been in the US since the age of 12. So I would say this is really the country that you know. You've been comfortable going through school and then doing all of the work that you did, because I have to mention this, at ALG, you've really played a very pivotal role. You only mentioned the education coordinator position, but at some point you were the event coordinator. No, event planner. You were also the associate director, but also you've been co-facilitating the public speaking class with me. That's where I got to really, know, admire, and respect the young woman you became.
Thank you.
So to me, with all of that, one day you saw a job back home, you applied and you pack all of your stuff and just go to the unknown, because you really didn't know like how it will pan out for you. You've not been in that country for a very long time. Matter of fact, when I talked about the comfort, you have internet connection here, something that is really basic. You went back there, you and I, we tried to do this when you were there, and it couldn't work at all, because like the power was always down, the internet was always down. So really, what made you make that choice to go back?
It was I know you're looking, people are probably looking for something profound, something like, but it was multiple things, Majama. It was, as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot happening within the world, but specifically in America. There was a lot going on in the education space.
That is true.
And there was a lot being focused on like racial equity. There was a lot about like educational standards not being equal. There was a lot about just different things and different aspects. And at that stage in my life, I was ready to really make the jump. And I wanted a different perspective. I wanted to know, what are some challenges that other people are facing in the world, other parts of the world? And as I mentioned earlier, I was really looking to teach abroad, teach anywhere. I wanted to get out of this space. I wanted to get out of this ecosystem and realize and figure out what are the challenges that are happening elsewhere, and how can I be of help? And when the opportunity came from Sierra Leone, yes, it was scary. Yes, it was putting a lot of things into consideration. But what made the decision was the fact that, one, it was home. And if I was going to make a difference and I was going to make a change anywhere in the world, I would have to start where I came from and where I got my background. And as a kid, I've always, I spoke at my high school graduation. And one of the things I said in there was I wanted to go back home and make a change in Sierra Leone, or create a world for children that otherwise is not there. And I was talking that in the doctor aspect, but not knowing that it was going to be through literacy or through reading. So it was just alignment. It was a lot of alignment and just saying, you know what, if this is going to happen, I'm going to have to do it here. And quite honestly, I didn't know what was going to happen in Sierra Leone. I was going to take the job. I was going to work in the government. It sounds really fancy. It sounds really cool. Majama. When I got there, reality hit. And there was nothing I could do to prepare for going back home, even though I was there. You talked about earlier some of the challenges, and we'll get into that. But it was a wake-up call, just like it was when I moved here when I was 12 in America. It was a big culture shock. I think going back was also a culture shock, because I thought I knew, and I had to adjust to working in Sierra Leone, which the work ethic there is very different than in America. I had to get used to working within like the government setting, because it was within the Ministry of Education. And we were part of a very small team that worked really close with the minister.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very high profile job, but it was in Sierra Leone and it was in Africa. And there are some challenges that come with that. So I was not prepared. And now I would say if anybody is going back and looking to, I would say leave all your expectations at the airport. And then when you go,
wow.
leave all your expectations somewhere. Don't take them with you, and just go with an open mind, because you get to learn. I got to learn a lot about myself, and something that I'm very passionate about got birth in that moment of navigating, in that moment of transition, in that moment of finding out whether I could do it or not.
Juliet, before you left, I don't know if you remember this, but you and I had a meeting at the Starbucks at Parker and Iliff.
Yes.
And I discovered a lot about you that day, because not only were, maybe unconsciously, you were getting ready for that, because during that time you were about to leave ALG, but also you were going to many seminars, many trainings, like wherever you heard something about personal development, teaching, all of those stuff. I know you were attending all of those and paying money to do that. That elevated the level of respect that I had for you, because I'm like, here's this young lady who is going places, but not leaving it to chance. You were preparing yourself to do this. But once you were back home and everything that you share happened over there, let's talk about now the birth of Auntie JoJo's library, because it looks like it has been your highlight, or the highlight of your stay over there. Talk to me about that.
Auntie JoJo's library.
From Juliet to JoJo.
Yes, from Juliet to Auntie JoJo.
Okay.
So Auntie JoJo, the name Auntie JoJo was actually given to me by a group of kids in Regent, Sierra Leone. I love working with children. It doesn't matter what the capacity is. It doesn't matter. I connect with them on so many different levels.
That's what you did here a lot.
Yes, we click naturally. So when I got to Sierra Leone, I lived in my sister's house in Regent, and in the neighborhood, there were a bunch of students, just kids, and gravity, magnetic force pulled us. And one day we were driving home from work. It was late at night, and my sister and I, we were pulling up into the driveway. We live up on a hill a little bit, and they have a gate. Outside the gate, there's a light. So in Sierra Leone, one of the challenges we're facing with, the reality is electricity and just power. And so it's a challenge for many, and especially for children living in homes that are the type of like zinc homes. And it's almost as if we would consider them in the American culture as like hoarders, kind of. So they move, when people are building homes, they have caretakers that are in the home until they have enough money or resources to build a home. So they have people usually that just watch the homes for them. So there are a lot of those families around. And so those children in their homes don't have electricity and don't have power. So every day they would come sit outside the gate to study. And they would do that.
To study under the public light.
To study under the light. It was my sister's light. It was the gate light.
Oh, wow.
In like the house, outside of the house, there's a gate. Over the gate, there's a light that powers the house, but they use it to their advantage. So we were driving home and we saw that. I was like, oh, my sister was like, there goes you. She's like, I know you're going to, because they know me and kids. So she's like, here are your students. She was joking, but I went in, came back out. I came and asked them what they were doing. And they're like, oh, we're studying. I was like, like I was really impressed and moved by their dedication, their commitment, and just their boldness to even do it. This is not your house. They just want light. So I was like, okay.
what if, so I told them, I was like, what if every week I come out and I'll study with you guys? I'll help you, whatever you need. So that's kind of where it started. And they called me, I told them my name was Juliet Juju. And they said JoJo, and everyone, and in Sierra Leone, Auntie, uncle, most African countries. So they saw that I was older than them. So they called me Auntie JoJo, and the name stuck. But it was from that little...
Oh my.
But yeah, Majama, it was really from that little moment, that one moment that we started something together, they and I. And after meeting with them, I continued meeting with them, and you were talking about just things aligning and you being prepared for the moment.
That is true.
So I was in Sierra Leone. I had a bunch of books that had been given to me by Unite for Literacy. Shout out to Unite for Literacy. They are a publishing company here, and we've worked with them when I was with ALG. And I had a bunch of their books. And I remember when I met them, I told them, I was like, I'm going to take these books to Sierra Leone. Once again, had no idea what I was talking about, just manifesting. And here I was with the books, and I had these kids. So one day I sat down with them and I told them, hey, let's start a library. And I'll give each of you a book and I'll write your names down. I said, go take the books, read them. Or if you don't know how to read them, learn how to, or make a story out of the pictures. Because a lot of the books were different grade levels. They were just books, and I had them. And so I was just like, go read them. And when you're done, you can exchange them with another student. So to this day, some of those kids still have those books, and they're rough, they're ripped, they're torn, but they're so proud of them. So we started the library from that concept. And every year I would try to do something different with them. I would try to create a learning opportunity for them to just be able to open their minds. There's so much going on around them, and most of it is negative, or most of it is not hope. So I wanted them to find that through books and just by learning and having fun doing that. And so that's what I've kind of been doing since 2022 is when we started Auntie JoJo's Library. And every year since then, we've connected with many students across Sierra Leone. And even in Kenya, I have students who log in from Kenya. I have students, one of my friends is in Congo right now, and I sent her the library and she's using it with her students in Congo. I have some kids from Ghana that are using it. So I'm amazed because it really just started from...
I am amazed.
It was just a seed, and...
Personally, how I came to know about it is through a picture that you posted on your profile on WhatsApp. I saw that and I called you. We talked about it and I was like, wow, this is just phenomenal for you to be able to impact children that way. Because maybe the people who don't know you, that was not a surprise for me at all, because I've known you for quite some time. We worked together at ALG in the public speaking class where you've helped tremendously.
Thank you.
The youth empowerment was something also, another thing that get you acclimated with like children, working with them, doing a lot of things. Anything like this would not come easy. What were the challenges you faced? Did you even ever receive any help from the government to keep doing this? Because you were doing part of their jobs.
There were lots of challenges. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about just literacy and reading and working with students. But one of the biggest challenges, so Auntie JoJo's Library first started as it is a digital library that has resources for kids to go and read many books. And when I started with the kids in Sierra Leone, and my first program, my very first one, was Growing Readers. And the goal was to introduce technology into reading. So we had tablets that they could access the library on. But what I soon came to learn during my discovery phase is whether or not, first, the question was, could I give the tablets to the kids to take home? Because part of increasing literacy is making sure kids have books in the homes that they can read and they have access to books. You need access to books.
Yes.
And the access was the books on these tablets. But one of the concerns was because of where they were living, there was fear that they might get stolen, one, but also they might not be able to connect to the internet because they don't have a connectivity box, or they're not connected to like Wi-Fi or hotspot,
or even charge it.
There you go. So there were all these things. So I had to deviate that plan really quick, because originally it was we give tablets in the home and we monitor their habits of reading through that. But seeing all the different challenges, I had to create something else. So I had to innovate into creating meeting space with them. So once a week, twice a week, I would meet with them with the tablets, and they could use them. So I could take the tablets back home, charge them. So the one challenge was connectivity, but you have to, and for me, because it was something I love doing, I was like, I'm going to find a way to do this no matter what at that point. Because everybody I went to, that was the first thing. You asked about where people helpful. I would be like, okay, I'm introducing Auntie JoJo's library. It's a digital library. They're like, digital library, there's no light, there's no power. Like, how is it going to work? So they automatically are giving me the challenges. But I think if you want to do something, you find a way. And I was able to find a way. And there were some days, Majama, that we didn't have power at all. So I couldn't charge. I couldn't use internet. I couldn't. So I had to create. So we had to use physical books.
Yes.
And we had to go. So you have to be creative. So we use physical books. We use games. I had Jenga. I had puzzles. So different things or they use storytelling. I'd have the kids come up and tell a story rather than using a computer or something. So, and many of the books we worked with also had activities. One of the books called Sticks and Stones, it talks about different things, different artsy things you can make with sticks and stones. So if there's no power, there's no one, I'll improvise and say, okay, today we're going to make things with sticks and stones. And so we'll just do that for the rest of the session. But yeah, so connectivity. And I think just the concept of reading is gone. We're slowly losing it within, I'm not sure if this is true for many African countries, but within Sierra Leone, the concept of reading is slowly going away. Kids are not reading because they want to. They're reading. They're not even interested. Yeah. So there was a challenge on that, how to get kids to actually like read beyond just their school notes. So I had to introduce that, not even to children, but to parents, to the communities, because most of the communities I was working with were, I would say, most of the high population of illiterate. Most of the parents had not gone to school. Most of the family members had only limited amount of education. So that concept of like reading is important. Your kids have to read, or they must read in order to develop. So I had to go through all of that. I did a mapping exercise before I started. So you really hit it on the nail, Majama, when you said I was being prepared for this and I have no idea. So I had all these tools, all these techniques in my head that I'm like, oh, okay, this happened. Let me do this. Oh, this happened. Let me do this. So even with the challenges, I think I was able to create something and still able to continue. The government is, it's hard to work with the government.
Wow.
But there are individuals that I have talked to within, and that individuals that are supportive, that they would sign up their kids, they would tell other parents about it. But as far as like collectively working with the government, I'm still looking for opportunities. I'm still part of this is also letting people know the importance of this and why this is necessary, and open for partnership. So Auntie JoJo's library is a dream and a vision. Yes, it's a digital space. However, I think my hope and my goal for it is so that kids can have this resources and this tool, and educators can create a space with using this resources and this tool to transform learning and to transform education.
Juliet, listening to this, I'm more than amazed by your story with the Auntie JoJo's library. A lot of ideas are brewing right now in my mind, and you and I have to sit down and talk about them separately.
Mm-hmm.
But like every year, or almost every year, you get a chance to come back here in the US. And sometimes I hear you do some like type of awareness or fundraising or collecting books that you take back home.
Yes.
Is Auntie JoJo's Library a non-profit organization, or is it something that you just do like that? Because the reason why I ask for if it is one, is that how can you utilize your network here to get funding
Mm-hmm.
so that you can really put this to the next level? Because it is absolutely important. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I make every effort when I come to the States, because this is where a lot of my resources are. This is where I'm able, you talked about connectivity.
Yeah.
During the summer, I run programs. If I'm not in Sierra Leone doing physical in-person meetings with the kids, I do virtual ones where they're able to log in if they have the opportunity to, just so I'm able to promote and get the word out about just reading. That's really the biggest goal. And so Auntie JoJo's Library is a nonprofit. It is a registered LLC. And people you can support.
But you
in
said
many
a
different.
registered LLC. Is LLC, because my understanding is LLC is different from a 501c, right?
Okay, so yes, it is. So it's not a 501c.
Okay.
It doesn't have a 501c starter. So it just has the LLC, just like the business status.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it is not a
It's not in like
non-profit then.
official
You are not
nonprofit.
like
Yes.
tax exempt.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
I believe
Not
you
yet.
need to look into that.
I will. I know that's
There
on my
is-
to-do list.
There's a lady who's currently in cohort 17 of the
Public
public
speaking.
speaking who does that work.
Oh,
I want to introduce you to her so that you guys can talk. I strongly believe that she can help you out to get this going.
absolutely.
But
I
go
would
ahead,
like.
continue.
Yes, I will. I'll take all the support, all the help
Yes.
that I can need, because part of one of the challenges that I am personally struggling with is just like fundraising, and how do I take this from just being something of a passion, but something where I can actually create more of an impact with a structure, like a formal structure that can help fundraise, because we support students not only through reading or literacy. As I mentioned earlier, all the students that I work with are, in America, we would say low income, but below poverty level, I would say.
Yes.
And these are kids that don't really have much. And so through the years, I've gone with books. We've donated clothing, we've donated shoes, we've donated school supplies, backpacks. So every opportunity and every chance I get to give to them and pour into them, I do. And you can support through that. You can donate clothes, you can donate books, you can donate school supplies, you can donate. The list goes on. And we have an Instagram page also that you can follow. This is just where I track and document. I take a lot of pictures and I take a lot of videos.
Absolutely.
So it just showcases some of the work that we're doing here in America, but also in Sierra Leone and across the globe. And then, but yeah, I'm open to collaboration. I'm open to partnership as well, but learning mostly because I'm doing it out of passion and feel, but I also am interested in seeing how can I take this and make it impactful where it can reach many more people in different parts. Congo is doing it right now. So if I can find a way to create a structure that can be replicated in other places, that's the goal. The goal, the mission, the vision is to promote literacy, is to make sure children have access to books that celebrate them and celebrate their culture. So one of my vision for Auntie JoJo's Library is to make sure that wherever location Auntie JoJo's Library is established, that books are created in that library that are reflective of that society. So in Sierra Leone right now, language was, once I started working with the kids, I realized that
there was issue with understanding. Even though they spoke English and they're taught English in school, they still struggled. So Unite for Literacy's one of their big resources is narrations. So in Auntie JoJo's library, a lot of the books, many of our books are narrated in 50 plus languages. So you can hear the books in different languages. And in Sierra Leone, the books are in Creole, which is the local language that we speak back there. So
This is certainly the reason why I wanted you to be to appear in the show right after Papa, because this season is stories of impact, and I already could sense the type of impact you were having back home there. So this is the reason why I wanted to have you, because look, I am discovering a lot of things at the same time as my listeners right now. And personally, I think you will go back there with a lot of books from me.
Thank you. Thank you.
The book that I publish, at least I will give you 20 copies for you to take back there. But also, I haven't talked to you much about the Mentium Institute. Now, you were talking about being open to collaboration. Now, that is already a digital space that is very, very well structured. I would like to welcome Auntie JoJo's library as a space in there. There's an app already made where, look, let's not go into the details on air, but I want to sit down with you before we go and you and I talk about this, because when you mention global, you're already global.
Thank you.
Because if you do this in Sierra Leone and then people are joining from Kenya, from Ghana, from Congo, look, let's put it in the map to cover on the map to cover all over Africa first, and then extend to anywhere else. Juliet, I've always admired you as a brilliant young lady.
Thank you, Madam.
You and I, we went way back, and I've always seen you as somebody who's industrious, somebody who's always making things happen.
Thank you.
Now, going back home didn't dim that light. It brightened it. So to me now, what I want to ask you really is, knowing the power of education and books, and you are in that realm right now, being able to influence the government in that space, can you share with us one story of a child or children that Auntie JoJo was able to impact?
Yes, absolutely. The impact has been many. I have been impacted myself through this work. And many, the stories really, Majama, are endless, but there's one particular one. And this girl, she joined when I first published Auntie JoJo's library, and I asked for people to join. She's in Sierra Leone. Her mom signed her up. It's her and her sister. And she joined, and they would join online every week. Her and her sister would text me, Auntie JoJo, are we getting on? She was so excited about and she was the one that would always ask me to get on. Like, can we meet? I'd put 2 days, and she'd be like, can we do another day? So she was just very always eager. And come to find out, I started working at a school in Sierra Leone, and she was going to that school. I had no idea at the time. But then when I started working at the school, I met her, and she was like, don't you remember me? I signed up. She didn't know me. And she heard Auntie JoJo. She's like, are you Auntie JoJo that did the library? And I was like, yeah. She's like, and she introduced herself and showed her name. So we became really close. But while doing the library and participating in it, she got inspired, and she wanted to start her own library for her group. So she started a WhatsApp group, added her friends. She is
She's in 4th grade. She's going to 5th grade now.
Oh my
But just brilliant. Yeah, she was so moved. And so she took her mom's phone, started a WhatsApp group with all her friends, got all their names. She sent them to me, asked me to help her put a flyer together. Basically what I was doing, she wanted to replicate it with her own group of friends and start a library club. And I was like, and just promote reading. And so that, to me, is the essence of doing this work.
Absolutely.
There are many, many stories of students that we've helped who paid for school fees, who needed exam fees, just to help them promote their education or to help them move forward in their education. But with the Auntie JoJo's library, I think just that one student who wanted to create her own library I could have never envisioned that. I didn't think I was doing this. I didn't start like, I want to start. I didn't even know I was going to start Auntie JoJo's library.
Look.
But yeah.
Wow. This is what is said in life. Sometimes you don't know, like, the ripple effects that your actions will have around the world. That's the reason why we need to be careful.
Yeah.
But like with you doing all of that, if there was one book you could recommend to a young African girl right now for them to read and take away a deep impact from, what would that be? One book.
Okay. What age group?
Well, the young ladies that you work with.
That I work with.
From like 6 to what? What is the age group?
13.
13, 6 to 13?
I work with from 6 to 18. So,
Okay.
But I think so. I'll do the like the older kids, like the teenage years, young adult kind of. I think if there's one book I would recommend, it would be Americana. It's by Chidimana. I'm gonna get the name for you,
Okay.
Madama. Maybe you can
edit. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's an African author. She's from Nigeria.
Okay.
But the book is really good because you asked how would I recommend it. For students I've worked with here, it talks about, or it addresses just that identity crisis of trying to figure out who are you. Her story's similar to of immigrants. She moved here when she was younger as well. So it just talks about and goes through some of those challenges that she faced. And then it just helps you kind of develop your sense of self and your sense of identity, especially when you're dealing with those two conflicts of being African, being American. That can be very challenging. So I think for students here, I would recommend that and go from there. But I have many recommendations.
I mean, for student here, I was even asking about for student back there.
For students back there, they can read that one too.
Well,
there's
look,
nothing. Yeah, it's for everyone, so they can read that as well.
When you talked about identity, I was like, wow, that could not be. There could not be a better recommendation, because in my line of work right now, I always say that for everybody, like for you to build anything, you need a strong foundation. And the human being is that foundation for themselves.
Yep.
Like, in order for you to develop anything, to master anything, you
have to be able to know yourself.
Start with identity. Who are you? So that is a very, very powerful recommendation. I believe, personally, I will check it out because I love to read. But I definitely wanna get that. So now, coming to the close of this, not that I have enough, but I just have to be mindful with the for the people watching. What is really the future? What is the vision? where do you want to see Auntie JoJo's library in the next 5-10 years?
Mm. So in the next 5 years, I would want to see us established as a nonprofit, both here in the United States and in Sierra Leone. Something well formed and something well structured. I would also like to see, you talked about earlier, did I get some help doing it? Though I didn't get any, I did get some formal help I got a lot of help from the community, people in various ways, but I also got a lot of volunteers that got to work with me. I recruited some of my cousins, but my goal and my vision is also to create employment opportunities for some of these young kids that I'm working with. I have students right now that have graduated secondary school and don't have anything to do. Either they missed some of the grades to go to college, don't have enough money to go to college. So I want to create an opportunity for them. One of them helped me out most of the time, all the time when I do the library in Sierra Leone. So if I can create an opportunity for her to be employed as an employee at Auntie JoJo's library, that would be great. Just something that could give back to those communities and the community, like empowering the communities. Even some of the parents I work with, if I can educate them and have them work as volunteers or have them work implement. But so the vision is to empower the whole community, but we're doing it through literacy. And because that's my niche and that's what I love to do, and doing it through working with kids, but just create more opportunities for students to learn and to read and to grow and to achieve their great potential, and also create employment opportunities for people in Sierra Leone. For my students, not just people, but some of these students I'm working with are becoming adults and they need something to do. And if I can help them transition into that, I think that's in the next 5 years. And then in the next 10 years, even within the next 5 years, Najama, I want to see Auntie JoJo's library, the concept. I want to see it in other parts of the world. We have it in Congo. I want to see it in Kenya. I want to see it in Ghana. I want to see replica of it throughout the continent. I want us to bring reading back alive. I want us to re-educate the continent, because education, to me, I think it was Aristotle that says education is the key and the ornament to success. It really truly is the key to getting out of poverty in our case. I believe if we use our mind and we use the resources that we have, we really can unlock potential. And I think kids are the future. They really, yeah. So why not pour into them?
Look, you said just now that education is the key. I mean, understanding that to me is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
When you're educated, you will know better. And when you know better, you do better.
Simple.
Look, this is...
It's beyond the classroom. This is like life.
Absolutely. But
this is...
Juliet, what is amazing me right now is that I made reference of that meeting that we had at that Starbucks. Now I'm remembering that we talked about you setting up your own nonprofit someday. We talked about that, and now we're here, like just a few years later,
wow.
witnessing the materialization of that idea.
Wow.
Because you were talking about 5 years. To me, most of the things that you just mentioned here can be done under 1 year.
Yeah.
You just need to be connected to the right people to make that happen. Because there are so many people with deep pockets who care about what's happening in the world. And it would start with educating the younger generation. So I have no doubt that if you are introduced to the right people, this idea will blossom. But also everything that you were thinking about right now, talking about the next 5 years, can happen way sooner than that.
Thank you.
Wow. Juliet, this was, I am excited.
I was so nervous.
And right now I am quoting my sister Butterfly. When we talk about something like this, she will say, I'm excited. And that's really how I feel right now. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what the future has in store for you, but also for Auntie JoJo's library. Personally, you and I will work on this because a lot of things are brewing right here. Because this idea right there is something that can also be done in Senegal.
Thank you.
It can be done.
I believe
like
so.
You want to say global, we'll make it global.
Let's do it.
Because we can.
We can. We have the power to.
Look,
we have the resources and we're connected to so many people.
There is absolutely nothing we can't do if we put our minds into it. And now it's not only one mind, it is multiple. And Dr. Napoleon Hill always says that when two minds come together, there is always a birth. There's always the birth of a third one that is equally or more powerful than the two. So I think if we keep brainstorming, if we keep a mastermind alliance open, definitely we will get there, because this is powerful. And it is man. Let's close before something happens.
Before something happens.
Yes, again, I am quoting Anita. Anita was took public speaking with me, and she would always like, let's do this before something happens. So yes, let's close, because man.
Oh man.
So I want to end in a way that I usually end this podcast when I'm interviewing people, and that is to ask you, if you had one extra hour during the day, how would you spend it?
I know it sounds very cliche, but I'm not lying. I would be with kids, teaching and doing something related to.
Look, I was not expecting anything less.
Yeah.
Because this always reveals to people what is really important for them, what you are truly passionate about. So there you have it. That's exactly what you said. Juliet, it has been a pleasure. It has been an honor to have you here, because I truly believe that you are going places.
Thank you.
You know, the world will hear about you. I have no doubt about it, because that's your heart. That's who you are. You know, ever since I've known you, I see this, tremendous, beautifully made human being who's always ready to give, who's always ready to impact. You know, I'm a witness of that, because I worked alongside of you. I remember public speaking. Sometimes I would have some challenges explaining things, you know, and you would come right in the way you would break it down. I remember those.
You're like,
those grammar lessons. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It is beautiful. Man. It is beautiful. It is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madama.
Look,
thank
you. Everything happens on divine timing.
I agree.
This interview could have not been done the day we wanted to do it back there. It maybe wouldn't even have this depth that we're having right now, you know, because a lot of things happen in between growth and what have you, because this reminds me of a saying by Bob Proctor. He said, when you read a book a second time, you don't find something that was not there before, because the book hasn't changed. Yes, but you will find something in you that was not there before. So evolve.
It's you that's changed.
We evolve as we read. We evolve as we meet people. We evolve as we discover new stuff. So I truly believe that our strength lies in our ability to connect with others.
Yeah.
And you are extremely good in that.
Thank you.
So
thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to share. I want to end with something that we always talked about in the public speaking class. I'm not sure if you that said it or somebody, if it's someone's famous, so it could be you. But you always used to tell us,
somebody famous, then it might not be me, certainly.
It is you. Nothing changes unless you change. That was something that you would always say, and it would always come up in public speaking. So I think that's what I want to leave everyone with. Just nothing changes unless you change. So think about that this week, and just allow yourself to evolve.
Nothing changes unless you change. You know, change is the most talked about idea. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants change, but they're not ready to change. Mm-hmm. And you closing with nothing changes unless you change. What a powerful way to end this. Thank you. I'm blessed.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you too, sister. What an inspiring journey. Juliet Sebold reminds us that when we lead with compassion and commit to lifting others, we become catalysts for true and lasting change. Her work through Auntie JoJo's library shows how something as simple as a book can become a bridge, connecting young minds to new possibilities and transforming communities from the inside out. If this conversation touched or inspired you, share it with someone who believes in the power of education, service, and human connection. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so for more powerful interviews just like this one. Until next time, keep showing up, keep serving, and keep making an impact. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. I am Majama, and this is Mentium. Peace.